It's also the shortest of them, which is why that's the one we're doing. So this is TBF TV with Forgotten Weapons, Carl, and Administrative Results. What's the best militia rifle? It's the shortest of the options, so that's why that's what we're doing.
Hey everyone, James Reeves, TFB TV. Today, a little bit of a social media experiment. I asked the same dumb question to 3 different smart gun tubers separately without telling any of them who else was being asked or who else would be in the video. You are going to think this video is hilarious whenever it runs, and
I'm gonna say what my piece is without having had any chance to think about this more than this stream. If you're in the United States, an AR-15 platform, because they're so popular, they're everywhere. If you need ammo, you can find ammo most likely. You can find magazines, you can find parts. They're interchangeable. It's easy to convert to other calibers if you need to. I'm going to say in the United States, it's an AR-15 platform, anything, because there's a ton of them. Metric ton of them. You could turn them into shotguns. You can use them as bush rifles if you need to go hunting and stuff. The barrels come in every length that you can think of. In the US, that's what I'm going to go with. Also, it's been around forever, and everyone knows they work at this point.
you'll see why. Those gun tubers, Administrative Results. It is my distinct honor and privilege to have my friend Aaron, also known as Administrative Results, on the program. No one better to kick this video off with a true third world shithole combatant LARPer,
Oh, when
Ian
this music
McCollum.
starts playing,
Forgotten
it's
Weapons.
always
It is my
concerning.
honor and privilege to have Mr. Ian McCollum, a good friend of mine who I've known for a long time on the program. I can't think of anyone better to discuss what I've been calling like guns of the warlords. Carl Casarda. Carl Casarda, you're familiar with him, In Range TV. They each got the same scenario. Well, I've got a kind of a fun thought experiment. You have the cult, the militia of Ian McCollum. Now, there is one that presently exists here out there on the internet, and they're probably watching this video. But I mean the physical manifestation. You have a militia, you've got 100 to 150 conscripts, 17 to 60-year-olds to fight in your despot militia.
I like how you just casually throw child soldiers in.
And I'm not going to tell you where. It could be anywhere in the face of the earth. So we're not going to try to game it with, you know, we're going to do 308, we're going to do. You don't know where you're going to end up.
I don't know my logistics.
You don't know.
Okay.
All you know is that you're dealing with a bunch of uneducated conscripts who are willing to die for you because of how charismatic you are and how much money you've brought in from the drug trade or human trafficking or whatever it is. Yeah.
I like to think my illicit trade would be growing.
But like avocados are called green.
Okay, so that gets interesting. So if we're not in the US, if we're just being dropped someplace and handing conscripts weapons, that gets interesting. The AR platform is still a very strong contender, though. Not in full automatic for your untrained conscripts, no. Semi's fine. I'm still inclined to stick with the AR platform because it's low recoil, so even someone who doesn't know what they're doing isn't at risk of it just flying everywhere with 5.56 rounds. There's arguments for the AK just because they can sort of be beat up and abused a little bit more than your average AR. They can also be made of a poorer quality and still work than your average AR. So the various AK platforms start to have an argument. I would go for not a 47, but a 74 because its round is a clone of the 5.56, so you get the same benefits of relatively low recoil. Now, this is assuming sketchy logistics, and we don't know squat about what we're handing people in terms of what we're doing with this. So that's why I'm sticking with 74U. Well, not U, the 74 type. Also, 74s can be updated nicely to be where it's still that cheap, crappy rifle underneath, but it actually has decent, effective, like, modernization on the outside for usability. Yeah, what would I pass out to expendables is basically the question.
Gold for that reason. Like,
yeah.
yeah, they're smuggled. But
Okay,
yeah.
sure. So Avocado King. We
Okay,
got
I'm
Carl.
Avocado King. Yeah, that's it.
Money, is it drugs? Is it your influence? Is it for
765
religious?
French long.
Yes, religious reasons. We'll go with that then. Religious reasons. That's why they're big. They're Francophiles.
Bananas.
We are talking about, of course, which gun you would outfit them with.
You found shipping crates,
Okay.
and you want these shipping crates to be filled with one of 4 guns.
Oh,
The FNFAL,
no,
the HK91G3,
no.
any derivative thereof.
The AK and the AR M16 type rifle. These are all out there.
You don't want the first two because too high a recoil, too hard for too hard for idiots to control without knowing what they're doing. The first two are out because of that. The other two options I have already argued for.
We need you to rank these in terms of your preference and assign letter grades and explain why.
Oh, wow.
Does that assignment make sense?
It does.
If they all agree with each other without knowing it, maybe there's a definitive ranking. If not, we'll say the combat rifle battle is still raging. Let's see what happened.
Probably call them the Results Rangers or something.
Yeah, I like that.
kinda
I like that.
funny.
No, that's good. It's kind of funny.
Go Results Rangers.
Let's go ahead and start with what you might think would be the worst choice.
The FAL would be my worst pick.
My last choice would be the FNFAL.
Why is
actually.
that?
A couple reasons. First, it's too powerful. It's a 7.62 NATO rifle. They're going to have a hard time shooting it, certainly shooting it effectively.
It's taking 308, which is a battle cartridge, which is overpowered for almost every application I would ever be worried about.
It's just a big old musket of a gun.
But the vast majority of them have a gas system that is infinitely adjustable.
This has a little doodle here that is specifically designed for you to make the gas system stop working. And conscript forces will immediately do that. They'll be like, oh, what's this?
Fiddle futz with any dial or thing on the gun, making it possibly inoperable, means to me that it's more of a professional's weapon at best. Dial on it all day long, because you can.
I'm gonna click the, oh neat, it goes clicky, 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 clicky. And then gun will never run again.
If you give it to someone who doesn't know what they're doing and they're messing with that stuff, the FAL is going to fail real quick.
Which isn't that big of a deal because they weren't gonna be able to hit anything with a 7.62 NATO rifle anyway.
I'd probably give it.
I am so happy
I
that
would give it a D.
A D.
D.
Like, it gets the job done. You know,
this isn't to say that I don't like the FAL, but I know what I'm doing. The FAL is very much a do not give to people who do not understand what they're doing rifle. Now that's a lot of guns, that's all guns, but given the scenario, yeah, no, the FAL is for trained soldiers, and even then, I'm not giving to my entire force. I'm giving to select soldiers whose job is to know the FAL and use it as a long-range engagement, high-effectiveness rifle. They are some of the best trained people I have.
accuracy-wise, not that impressive. But overall, you know, it's cool. But to me, it's not like, wow.
True, but I mean, unfortunately, this is one of my favorites. I cannot disagree with you.
Gee, I wonder what number 3 is gonna be.
What's number 3?
Number 3, only because it's chambered in 308 again, and again, I don't think we want battle cartridges for untrained soldiers, the G3.
Okay.
Next up, number 3 choice is
Didn't I just say that the militia would have no control over these two rifles?
the G3.
The problem is, this is like the gun you would use to hunt those conscripts. Like, that's a problem.
Okay, he's
is that
got
a
a
good
good
thing or
point,
a
though.
bad
I guess, you know, it's what it is. It's what it is.
It has the advantage of there's no button that'll make it stop working.
The G3 doesn't have the problem of being infinitely adjustable. In fact, it has the advantage of not being adjustable. The delayed roller system is incredibly reliable.
You need some practice to be able to shoot effectively with a more powerful cartridge.
A little bit more accurate, better iron sights. I love the iron sights on this thing. It's just like they're just unbeatable in my opinion.
This is a gun that is more tolerant of being run by idiots.
And once you learn the basics of open it up, stick in the magazine, close the bolt, shoot gun, you got it.
The thing's just sick, man. These guns were used for a very long time. Like I was saying, even in the global war on terror, probably still being used today by certain countries. Depending on where
I'm
they
sure.
Are, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of hard to beat one of these. These things are just so like robust, and we'll just power through it.
What are we giving it?
I still give it B tier.
I will go with a C.
Because of this, the cartridge, C.
He did have a good point about the using that rifle, and I'd say the previous one, to hunt the conscripts, because these rifles absolutely have superior range and stopping power, which is a real thing, in spite the constant complaints about. It is an actual thing. It's just not quantified the way a lot of people want to quantify it. They hit harder, they hit farther. The militia will be spraying wildly trying to hit you while you're picking them off. But again, you're trained soldiers. I'm going to guess that they collectively put the AR-15 to number 2. Because the AKs can be crappy rifles that are beat to death and still work fine. The AR requires, we don't have the Vietnam problems anymore, but the AR still requires a bit more maintenance, a bit more taken care of, a bit more, you know your way around the gun, even if you're not great with a gun, to be able to keep running in a battlefield condition. So I'm going to say that, disassembly of the AR is super duper easy. You push a button. Now, and unlike a lot of guns, things don't go flying off when you do that. Because there's a lot of guns that have a really super duper easy disassembly, but the moment you push the button, it kind of like boings apart. The AR doesn't do that, which is nice. Now, there's still definitely ways to lose things easier than I'd like. With the AK, you hand it to your conscripts, and you kind of never expect them to open it up to begin with.
What
see if they agree.
is your number 2?
Well, then let's go to our runner-up.
I think people will be surprised considering all my other work, the AR.
Okay.
I think as far as a conscript gun, this is not worthy. This is yet again another gun you would be hunting those conscripts with.
For a well-trained, well-regulated soldier and army, the AR-15 and the derivatives are better than the AK. But
There's just a little bit more to go wrong on this.
How much time do I have to train these guys?
The AR frame rate is absolutely better in the hands of trained soldiers. Once you get a little bit of practice, this is a gun that will reward that practice, that you can exploit to be significantly superior.
there is the reality is that the AR requires maintenance,
It does need to be cleaned. Not as much as people think,
not to the degree that people think.
but more than an AK.
I think you're worried about anyone maintaining your gun if you're like tired and hungry all the time.
Yeah,
So
for
yeah, that
sure.
could be a factor. I feel like with the AK.
Or just lazy.
Yeah, we're just lazy.
Or just high on your bananas.
Yeah, high off a whole bunch of
Illicit bananas.
But I could not expect this militia we're speaking of to protect
Yeah.
my avocados to really have, let's say, the discipline to clean and maintain an AR-15
Yeah.
reliably, and or the spare parts, if they're fired heavily, to replace, the springs or things over time, because ARs have a duration of range of fire before they will break a bolt or break a spring
Yeah.
or wear out a spring. And once the helicopter of the AR-15, because it's a very balanced system, when one part's out of whack, the gun fails.
What grade do we give this?
I'm going to give this an A.
I'd actually jump to A- still.
An
for this.
A-.
I would not go
An
to B
A-.
for this.
Okay.
A tier. I mean, the recoil impulse a little bit better. Once you figure out the irons, you can teach them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all probably gonna be getting into a gunfight within like 200 yards, is my guess. Maybe I'm just not the warlord I think I am. Maybe you guys will be like, hey, dude, your warlord skills for ranking these guns are abysmal.
We've been doing this for a long time. We get a lot of weird people that watch this. I personally guarantee you there's a despotic warlord watching this on YouTube right now. Hopefully, despotic warlord, if you're out there, please comment.
Chime in. Let me know.
Yeah,
how
yeah.
it goes.
Let administrative results know if you.
No,
if you know-
sir. Actually, AK is best. AR platform. Terrible.
So the reason I initially went with the AR was assuming I was the militiaman, that we were doing Red Dawn in the United States. That's what I initially thought this was gonna be. Where, for me, it's like, okay, I know I have the time to actually learn and figure out an AR at a time. The reality is the average citizen of the U.S. has the luxury time to actually learn the AR platform to the level that you need, which is admittedly a pretty low bar, but it's still a higher bar than out in the middle of the jungle. People have never touched a gun before. Here's your guns. Go die for me. It's still a higher bar than that. So that's why I initially put the ARs first. Plus, like I said, you've got literally millions of people that in the United States that already have ARs, which is where you're getting all your supplies from. If you got to go raiding, you can find stuff. Everyone's already got the same equipment loadout, spare parts, supply. I already went over this, but that's why. I was assuming in a Red Dawn scenario, the country is already ready. If you're dropping me in Africa, no.
AK.
I'll say this.
Did you see that one coming?
Everyone who has done this,
Consistent.
yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's funny because
Regardless of our other differences, I don't even know who these people are. We're on the same page so far on the firearm topic, for sure.
my last interviewee that I posed the same set of questions to, we said the same thing. Tell us why the AK is the top dog.
AK is just so hard to beat for like a good conscript gun.
Sure.
Simple overall. Teach them a few things. Got your safety lever, charge the gun, put the mag in, kind of thing. Your
Intermediate power cartridge. 7.62-39 does that. It's still more recoil than an AR in 5.56.
Also, you can carry a lot of ammunition with low weight.
absolutely lighter, carry
Handier.
more ammo.
Yeah,
They're probably going to feel better knowing they have more ammo on them.
In the hands of someone who doesn't know how to maintain a weapon and doesn't care about it and is more likely to use it as a pry bar or a step stool or whatever, the AK is going to survive longer.
Very tough to beat for the conscript-orientated ranking.
And you don't have to do anything to it. I mean, the best thing you do is maybe a shoelace with some knots in it and some oil down the barrel once in a while.
The AK is massively overgassed. It has more room for error in terms of getting rust on the parts.
But it is such a simple manual of arms that it takes not long to say, how does this work? How do you not shoot someone, and how do you shoot someone with this gun?
Yeah.
As long as they don't set the sights to a certain power level.
Yeah,
they
that's
should be
right, the
okay.
power level. Yeah, if you said it, you put it all the way to
That
10.
was a thing
yeah.
during that conflict where
I've heard that.
these guys were picking up AKs from the guys they were fighting. They're like, why are your iron sights cranked up to like 10? And they're like, oh, it's for the power level.
Yeah.
To increase the power. So
It's not?
as long as I teach those guys
I've heard
to not
that
do
story too.
Yeah.
then I think it'd be a fantastic
different
conscript
people.
gun.
Yeah.
It is a good example of reliability for I didn't maintain this, and it's going to run forever.
Yeah, I'd say this is an S.
It's got to be an S.
So let's A- that one.
A-
Let's
that
B+
one.
to AR, and let's A-
A-.
to AK.
Ian, thank you very much. It's a privilege. It's always a treat to have you on. Aaron, thank you very much for your time.
course.
Administrative results, guys,
for
check
having
them out on YouTube. I'm sure you already do.
Carl, thank you
James.
very much
This
for
was
being
a
on the program.
fun exercise.
I told you. We're just here having fun in TFB TV, and we have a consensus.
3 very different men, 3 very different styles, 3 very separate interviews, no collaboration, no one knowing who else was involved or what they said. They all landed in the exact same place with no encouraging or coaching from me, and they used the exact same reasoning. The FAL, too tricky, too powerful. The G3, just plain too powerful. The AR, pretty good for trained troops, but the AK is the one-size-fits-all for your personal roving ragtag band of state college-educated, hard drug, hyped-up warlords. And honestly, that's what really makes this video interesting. Not just about the guns, not the conversation about the guns, but that these 3 different people with different perspectives, but a similar area of expertise, they all converged. They landed in the same place when we forced them to answer the same question.
I predict there aren't going to be a whole lot in this video series if everyone continues to say the exact same.
No, if anything, that's what I love, is we'll show how consistent that these results are.
Look, we
DC,
can't come together on something.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
exactly
totally,
right. That's
yeah.
exactly right. And that's why I'm doing this.
Maybe there still is hope for the gun world after all, or maybe the only thing that we can agree upon, the only thing that brings us all together, is the shared understanding that if you're arming the conscripts you picked up in your Hilux from under the overpass, you probably don't want to hand them a crate full of FALs. Thank you for watching TFB TV. Be kind to each other.
Is this going on TFP TV?
Why?
Just curious.
It might not.
And you know what's going to be so funny is like whenever we go back and I'm editing this video and I do this video, I'm going to probably be at a certain point be able to take everyone who participated in this and almost interchange words and sentences.
Okay. What do you know? He now has at least 4, well, 5, because up to was also agreeing. He now has 5 people that all agree on the order of the guns on the same logic. We're all a bunch of lemmings. The final thing I'm going to say on that is the biggest reason why you know that the AK was going to win this is because now that's really starting to show. Is because it was designed to be given to untrained troops who are just thrown into the front line. That was the whole AK's entire point. It's a Soviet weapon. They looked at the Second World War and said, all right, we're just going to conscript a ton of people, give them some guns, and send them out to die. What do we do that isn't the Mosin Nagant? And that's what they did that wasn't the Mosin Nagant. So that's what we got. The AK was just... Well, meanwhile, the U.S. was like, all right, people are going through boot camp. Boot camp, at the time, was still pretty questionable of a training regime. It's much better now, but it's still boot camp. But, it was still like, all right, our soldiers are going to understand the weapon that we're giving them on some level. Oh, man. I am pleased with myself, but it's also like, oh my gosh. Anyways. Okay, we got more stuff to do now. We are moving on to our next game. Having people actually volunteer. Well, I mean, Vietnam. Though I guess the AR platform was started before Vietnam. It just didn't get there till Vietnam. But still.